Hello guys, hoping you're having a good day. This is Dale Walker at Whole Shot. Semi-retired, fully retired, who knows what I am. But anyway, today is a good day because I'm working again on my bike. So we're working on Mr. Gray ZH2, part 11. We're going to pull the clutch cover off and we're going to install a set of Brock's heavy-duty clutch springs. These things have kind of a lock-up behind the clutch basket, some ramps that come in, but since I'm just going to be clutching this thing, hand clutching it at the track playing, I want it to have a little bit more spring pressure. So here are the springs we're going to be putting in the bike. Should be a pretty simple installation. There's 3 springs on these. They're just real long little devils. So yeah, so that's what we're going to do. So I'm going to pull off this plate. This is my secondary little plate. I put white duct tape on this, and then my dial-in time could go there. Let me pull that off, then I'll go over what tools I'm going to use, and we'll start pulling it down. Okay guys, well, first thing is, if you just did a recent oil change, I have it up on my stand, okay, level, and if you did a recent oil change, it appears to me that you could put this bike on the side stand and you're going to lose very little oil probably, because if you look at the oil pan right here and the clutch cover is right here, you're going to get some oil from the cover running down, possibly a little. You might lose a little bit when you turn it on its side. So, but if you just recently did an oil change, you could do it like that. But always have another quart of oil or so, maybe a couple quarts handy. So, you know, when you finish your job, you can refill it. Now, if you need an oil change or close to it, I suggest just go ahead and change in your oil filter. And I just did a video on that in part 10. And the reason this tape is here is why? It's a test, because there's no oil in it. Don't fire the bike up, dummy. There it is. So first I would take these 2 off, this bracket here. This thing's all black. Let me get a light. That bracket and this lower bracket's for the right hand side little air dam panel. So this panel has to come off, and the little cross brace will come with it. Good thing just get it out of the way. Second, this the O2 sensor has a little push-in pin nylon thing here holding it in place. So what I was going to try is a 4mm just rounded headed Allen. Push that out. Okay, and it will go. I just can't do this and hold the camera at the same time. So let me see. Here's the tools needed that I'm going to use. We've got a 5mm T-handle, 4mm little Allen to push that one little nylon T out of the way. Got an good quality inch-pound wrench. Got a 5mm Allen key socket, 3/8. That's just what mine is. You may have 1/4-inch drive, and also a 3/8 ratchet just in case you want to use this instead. So first thing to do is go ahead and break all the bolts loose. And I'm going to kind of set the camera up a little all there so I'm steady. And then I'll show you kind of what I do when I take bolts out and things like that. Oh, and one other thing is I ordered a factory Kawasaki gasket, and I sure the hell hope it's the right one. It's kind of hard to tell because it's so weird shaped, and I think when it turns the opposite way, it's going to be but this part number, that's the clutch cover gasket, I assume, for ZH2 and H2. There it is right there. I don't need to read it off. Expensive sucker, about 40 bucks. Found it on eBay for like $38, and that was the cheapest I could find it. So let me get the camera pointed on here, and I'll just start breaking the bolts loose, kind of show you how I do it with my little T-handle and so on. And then I won't show everything till I get the cover off so the video doesn't turn into an hour long. Okay, let's do that. Okay guys, I'm going to use my T-handle I've had for years and years, 5mm. What's nice is I can use the handle to break it loose. And kitty walks backwards. handle to break it loose, then the regular, and then turn it this way, right? So let's just start with one anywhere. We'll do this bottom bracket. Hopefully you can see it. How about up here? Can you see that good? I think so. Yeah, so we're going to break it loose by hand. Break them all loose, whether you're using a ratchet that I have here, maybe a little extension. But break them all loose by hand, okay? Just go around the bike. See, they're pretty tight because they're stainless and have a flange on them. You can hear them cracking loose, okay? So, yeah, be real careful. Whatever you do, use a brand new Allen bit or Allen key so you don't round it off and strip it, the head, where the Allen goes in the bolt. You'll be sorry. Okay, just going to break them all loose. Okay, now, something, if you look real quick and you go, oh shit, that bolt's not going to come out. This coolant tube's in the way. Well, it turns out, Kawasaki, there's a rubber grommet in here and the bike's all tight, but there's some play in it luckily, and you can't tell by the camera, but you can push it up and the Allen wrench will actually clear it. It might touch on it, but it's not going to hurt it at all. It's got enough clearance and it's straight. There, you hear it? Now this bolt is black colored, so make a note of that. You might want to take a picture of the side of the motor. We don't know if these bolts are all the same length or not. So if one's real long, you might want to make a note of this particular one. Blah, blah, blah. You want them all to go back in the same spot. But this one's black for a reason. Okay? This goes in the upper case right here. A little different. So just make a note of all your bolts. I would go ahead and take these two brackets off and set them aside with the bolts in them, just in case they're a smidgen longer or something. So let me get that all done and the bolts out, and then we'll try tapping on it with a little dead blow or whatever and pull the cover off and see how it goes. One more thing, please do it by hand when you take the bolts out. Don't use a little drill, an electric drill, a little thing and just buzz them out. You can do it that way if you want, but if one of those bolts are slightly buggered up or the threads feel funny or anything's wrong, you're just going to waste the threads in the engine case. It only takes 2 minutes more to run these out by hand, especially with a T-handle. Spinning and spinning, okay? All right, guys, I got all the bolts out. I put one back in. I barely tapped on this. There's a little tiny little ridge right here. You can barely tap on it. It's already broke loose. Who knows? Maybe I'll get lucky and the gasket's absolutely perfect. Anyway, the O2 sensor wire. Lost my light. What did I do with my light? It's gone. Well, I'll use this one. It's a little bright. The O2 sensor wire up in here. There's another wire, I assume, goes to a reluctor here that's part of the timing or something. So I took a nylon tie around both of them, just lightly nylon tied them out of the way. So once we do get the cover off, it's not going to be hanging over where the gasket is or anything, okay? So let's go ahead. I'm going to set this light down. I'll take this bolt out and I'll wiggle, take the cover off. For now, I just have my big tray down here. You can't see. I have a big tray. Brand new. It's what bus boys use. There's a restaurant supply, and these are just so awesome. So fits right under here. I'm going to go just set the whole clutch cover down in that. It's going to have a little bit of oil in it. I did check all the bolts, okay, and all the regular stainless bolts, including the ones that go on the bracket, are the same length. So you don't have to worry about those, okay? The black bolt, on the other hand, goes in to the top of the engine case, and see on the tip, the last 1/4 inch or so, it has some gray sealant on it. We used to call Yamaha Bond or Suzuki Bond or Honda Bond. That's exactly what it is. It's Kawasaki Bond. But you can go to a hardware store, not a hardware store, like O'Reilly's. They sell all kinds of different ones. This happens to be one I have that I bought a while back for another project. Just mega gray. See, OEM import gasket maker. Okay, that's the kind you can put on the bolt. When I put it back in, we're going to put some on this one bolt that goes right here into the base of the cylinder. That must be a through hole, and they're worried about oil leaking out of that bolt more. So that just seals it up a little bit. Don't overdo it. Just a light film with your finger all the way around when we put that bolt back in. All right? That's what you use for that. The reason you use that is, don't use silicone seal or RTV. That can squish out, break off, get in an oil passage, have for a real bad day. So let's, well, I got you here, and I got all the bolts out, and I think it's going to come off. If it gives me problems, I'll stop the camera and I'll just do it, and then I'll show you what I did. But all the other bolts are out. Now they're out. Yeah, I think this is a composite material cover. I'm not positive. Look at that. Okay, the gasket is barely stuck to the cover, but probably going to have to replace it. It took a teeny bit of gasket with it. Look at all that. Look how that cover's made. Let me wipe some of this oil off. This is pretty cool. Look at the inside of these covers. See how that honeycomb stuff? That's for sound deadening, I would think. What do you think? I think so. Look at those things. Yep, like little holes in it all the way around. Cool. Yeah, there's a little material of graphite. The gasket came off really good. I mean, in an emergency, this gasket probably wouldn't leak. But you think I'm going to take a chance? I got a new one. Hopefully the right one. We'll know that in a few minutes. So what I'm going to do now is I'm going to just lay this cover in, and it fits perfect in this thing. This is actually, like I said, this is for bus boys. So, yeah, so let me get set up, and I'm going to show you how I'm going to clean my gasket, okay? All right, I got the cover off, so I just wanted to show you what you're going to find under here. So yes, here is your ignition rotor reluctor. See, right here's a small 1 and 4 and 2 and 3. So this is what does your timing. Sparks the old sparky plugs. This is part of your cam chain tensioner shoes, front and back. Here's your cam chain tensioner running down from the right side of the motor up on the cylinder head. Under here there's a sprocket. Here's your magnet for your reluctor, timing advancer rotor. These are the 3 bolts we're going to be taking out for the clutch springs. That's going to probably be the simplest part of this whole thing. Back here is another... Oh. Hang on. Let me stop the killer dog. Be right back. Good boy, Super Cooper. It was the Amazon delivery man. Brought me parts. Just doing his job. Anyway, that's all calmed down now. So anyway, yeah, this sprocket down here with the chain, most like is your oil pump drive gear. Here's your shift paw and the end of the shift drum right here. And this is the rest of the shift mechanism that goes clear across the case to the shift shaft sticking out, and then it bumps over these bumps. It's in neutral right now. You can see the extra step right there where my finger is. Okay, so that's kind of an overview of what you're going to see under an H2 or a ZH2. There's a chain up here, and I guarantee this chain behind the clutch basket runs up and drives the drive gear to the supercharger. And what I like to do, because it's still going to drip a little bit, I take a piece of cardboard, fold it in half already, and slide it under the whole bike. Okay, and because when I clean the gasket surface, it's just going to drop on here, off here. When I get that done, I can just lay a towel under there, get rid of the mess, throw it away, fold it in half. So yeah, what I'm going to do is I use a razor blade but I'll show you what I'm going to do here in a second. Okay guys, well, there's two kinds of rags, right? There's oil rags and polishing cloths. Buy yourself a new bag of oil rags, and you haven't used them before. Shake them out or wash them. Get rid of most of the lint. You want to stuff it all in here. Stuff it all in here. You don't want to get any gasket stuff down inside the motor, which you probably won't if you were careful, but it's still going to fall in the clutch and all the mechanisms. So don't even take a chance. Do something like this. Just do the best you can. And what I use, been doing it for years. I don't gouge the cases. Single edge redger blade. You can put it in a little holder like this, but I'm so used to doing it by hand. I have a better feel like that. And just for an example, you don't scrape on it like this and dig a hole in it. Very, very lightly, okay? Now what you could also do is you could also have a little teeny vacuum cleaner while you're doing this, but you know, you can take your time, throw it on the cardboard. But you can go like this at an angle. That's normally what I do. But it looks like this one, being such a new bike, is gonna peel off maybe, you know, just going direction. But if you go the direction of the blade, sometimes it'll get caught. You put a little notch in it. So you don't want to do that. You're better off going like this, about a 45-degree angle, and just cleaning it off. It's not going to hurt it if you keep going the same way, or you flip it, go the other way. Now, if you get some tiny little minor scratches on it like that, we're going to clean that up in the end. Okay, so go around the whole gasket surface on the case and get that all cleaned up first with the razor blade, and then I'll show you the next step I do. Okay, let's go ahead and carefully pull out the rags. I got the whole razor blade routine done. Let's get the rags out of here. I already took away the other bucket on the bottom. Now I just have a clean pan in case some oil drips. Set your rags aside. Alright, so now I'm just going to tell you something. What you're going to want to use is a very small vacuum and vacuum up any little debris here, out of here, and then wipe it out real carefully. But here, this harness I was talking about, yeah, that comes down to your pickup unit. So there is some gasket still stuck on your rubber here, so be very gentle with your razor blade, and it comes off very gently so you don't dig into the rubber, okay? And then there's a little residual of some Kawasaki glue that they put around this where this slid in to the case. Okay, the other case half is right here, okay? And they put a little bit on the gasket there too. So first, thoroughly clean it, vacuum it, wipe it all super clean. Then I'm going to go over it. I'll show you what I do next. But when we go to reassemble, after we put the springs in, on this, we're going to put a teeny bit of the Mega Gray, or if you want Kawasaki Bond, Yama Bond 4, same type of stuff. I'm going to put a light, very light film on there, and we're going to put a very light film, just touch it on this gasket where the two gasket halves meet right here, okay? So let me get this cleaned up, then we'll go to detailing the gasket surface. One other thing I forgot to tell you. Damn it, I put the cover on already. But yeah, right here is your other case half. You see my hand? Right below, right beyond this thing here, look at the case half. Well, that part of the gasket, between the cut case and the gasket, you need to put a little bit on also, the two case halves. It's here and it's here. Okay guys, what I do next is I use some 400 grit wet dry paper. You can use a brand new piece or used. Brand new is fine, with WD-40. Okay, I just get the paper wet. Trying to use my old can, probably be out. There, we got some left. You just soak one end of it like that, and just go ahead and use it right on the gasket surface. Just one finger application. See that? Keep it wet. See what it's doing to it? Very lightly. You're going to go over the whole gasket surface all the way around. Might take a little while to do, but trust me, it's going to be cherry. Not much gasket comes off with this because it has a graphite material. Okay, and then you'll want to wipe it off, clean it, spray it again. But just for example, hopefully you can see that. I may have to zoom in. I'm going to see here. Boom, boom. Yeah. Yeah, that's what I just worked on right here. So let's wipe it off. See how pretty that is? Right up in this area here. That's what you want to make the whole thing look like. Then you go ahead and take some contact cleaner or brake clean on a clean shop towel. Blue. Wipe it all off clean and dry. Then you want to blow out the threads. Wipe it off again. Then you want to go get your clutch cover, and there's going to be a little bit of gasket stuck on it here and there. Just use that same method of what I just did with the razor blade and the WD-40 on 400 wet dry. That's all you need. You can also go over it if you wanted to with a worn purple scuff pad after you're completely done with WD-40 to really make it perfect. It almost looks machined. But that's what I've learned through the years. So I'm doing this first because the clutch job is all clean, and that way we have the pain in the butt part that takes a little while done. So let's prep all those parts. Let me finish, and then we'll start on the actual clutch springs. Okay, got a clean, it's always reversed here, shop towel. Just sprayed some brake clean on it. We'll go over the whole gasket surface now. I'm going to do this first. Just might as well show you. Not going to take very long, a couple minutes, if that. Already vacuumed, already wiped inside the engine case, wiped off the top of the engine case and the black paint best I could. Can always do that when the cover goes on more. And I already blew out the threaded holes for the bolts. Okay, so that's ready. See right here? This is where I just wiped. I don't know if you can see that or not because of the light, but yeah. Right here. See, that's just residue still and dirt and gasket material that you couldn't see with the naked eye. But that is cherry and ready now. So I'll finish the cover. I won't show you that. And then let's get started on the outer hat removal. Okay guys, real quickly I'm going to show you this. I told you I wasn't, but I am. So it turns out to be aluminum. It's just super thin. Yeah, you wouldn't want to fall over on this thing without crash bars. Anyway, just get the gray graphite off of it because the whole cover, including the gasket surface, has the same black coating that's apparently on the outside. Okay? You're going to take some of it off with the razor blade. Doesn't matter. That's what a gasket's for. And then I went over it with the 400 wet dry method with 400 and WD-40. Went over it about 3 times. Made sure all the graphite was off of it. I had rags in here. Very carefully clean everything. If it gets down, some got down in here, I was able to get it out, you know. You don't want that stuff floating around. So yeah, I got it the best I could. This is not going to do anything. And then I went over it a couple times with brake clean, the clean rag. So I'll probably double check it before we put it on, but that's prepped now. I just wanted to give you a heads up. No need to scrape into the aluminum, okay? If you go through it a little, it's okay, because the graphite, it was actually more stuck on this side. I was surprised. Anyway, that's that. All right, guys, it's finally time to actually do what this job's all about, and that's put the heavy-duty clutch springs in from Brock's Performance. I'm going to use my 10 millimeter. Can you see it? I got my camera on a tripod. T-handle, I've had for years. So you want to just snap them loose. I already broke them loose. And if you notice right here, I made a black felt pen mark from the outer hat plate that pushes on the springs, holds the hat on too, from here to here. That way you know it's on the right direction as far as front to back. It's pretty obvious. It's got a step right here where the bolts go, but I always like to put stuff together back like it was if it's a simple part. So we got our mark on the outside here and a mark right here on the outer hat. So what you want to do is, after you break them loose, you want to just go ahead and turn them about 2 turns each in a pattern. See what I'm doing here? In other words, to make it not get all jacked up and the springs release evenly on this push plate itself. Okay? So this should be pretty straightforward. I was thinking of completely disassembling the clutch and taking a look at it, because I have about 18 runs on it, but I decided not to do that. It's still functioning perfect, and it should be fine. I haven't really overslipped it because of how I had to take off with the fly-by-wire, and the stock ECU and everything was a real low RPM. So I'm just going to do this. And if I ever have to put a clutch in it, then we'll do a complete clutch rebuild. Usually what happens on these is the inner stack, as it goes in on the steels, the inner ones, the first 2 or 3 are the ones that, if they get too hot, those are the ones that are going to warp or turn blue first. So a lot of times you just have to replace those few. And if your fibers aren't burnt up, okay? But a lot of times if they're just slightly blue and you lay them on a piece of glass or something and they're flat, you can actually bead blast those, lightly bead blast the plates that are slightly discolored, and then clean them really good with like brake clean. Scrub with soapy hot water, like Dawn liquid soap with water. Then you immediately oil them. You can put them back in. If they're warped at all, never use them. Replace the steels that are like that. So might as well give you some tips while I'm taking these bolts out. We're almost there. There are some elongated little washers in the back that you don't want to let fall out, I think. I looked on the microfiche and I saw them in there just to see what was any surprises coming. Yeah, this thing's about to fall off, so, and it might. Okay. Now we're good. Here it is. Here's the whole unit. See it? I'm trying to see my camera, you know. I'm backwards and upside down. Okay. So there isn't any real washers on the bolts. You see this here? There's just the flange head right in there. Now, down inside, there are some little weird oval washers. Okay? Just leave everything alone. Let me show you here's the difference between Brock spring, the black one. I got the bottom even. Can't really see it. Let me turn it sideways maybe, huh? There it is. Anyway, they're more coils and they're probably a little stiffer, or it's just because of the coils. Yeah, they have to be a different spring rate. They're supposed to be about 25%. Okay, both ends appear to be a finished end. You can see that. Here and here. So, yeah, they look identical, so you don't have to worry about which way they go in. You know, whether like this or like this. They're all the same on each end. So, these bolts are real long. You don't need to put anything on them. But I can tell right now you're going to have to push, push, push to get it started. So that is going to be kind of an issue and not mess anything up. So let me play with this because I don't want to sit here and just let the camera run and run and run. And then I'll tell you how I did it. Okay? I'll be back. Okay, guys. Not as easy as I thought it was going to be. The springs are extremely long. The bolts are about over 1/4 inch from reaching the thread in the inner basket hub with the towers that stick out. You don't want to strip the threads. The other problem is with this off the bike, the outer hat here, you have to have a helper and just kind of hold it together. You don't want it to jump a tooth, okay, because it started to not fall off, but it was out from the stack. That's because between the slave cylinder on the other side, the hydraulic clutch, the push rod, and the pusher that's inside here with the button on it, pushing on this to release the clutch, there's still fluid pressure. So now that I know all this, I had Liza, my filmer right now, it doesn't take a lot of pressure if I have a helper that can hold this together for you while you're trying to assemble this clutch springs. The best thing to do would be come over here. Luckily on this bike the slave cylinder is all exposed right here. Over here, hon, so you can see this because it's all black. What I would do is I would stick a hose on here into a container, break loose the bleeder, and go push that outer hat together and let it puke out just a little bit of fluid so no more pressure on it. You understand? Relieve the pressure from the push rod, have someone hold it tight for you, then come back over here and crack it back, snug it. It's not going to get any air in it that way. Then all you may have to do is add a little bit of fluid in your clutch master cylinder up here, reservoir, when you're all done. Okay, I did it the other way. She held it together for me. Now let me show you what happened with the clutch springs. So, right here, hon. These are so long that you don't want to booger up the threads. You don't want to mark your part. So what I did end up doing is I ended up just putting one in, having this hat, this outer triangulated cap just kind of dangle down. Liza was on the sides here holding this for me, so this wouldn't come off here. And then I was able to push with my T-handle straight in, wind my arm up so I could get at least a half a turn or more, and then I could push one spring enough to get it started, and another turn, and another turn, and I knew it was started. It starts that way without stripping it. All right, so then I ran this bolt in. Look at me a second.
Oh, sorry.
I ran this bolt in, the first bolt about, 5 threads, so you know it's not going to strip or pull out. Then I went to the next spring, and I was able to, there was still enough play to cock this plate out by hand, get the spring in there. then I could push on it. She still held this together. I could push on it with my T-handle and get this one started. The bugger was the last one. This I started maybe 3 or 4 threads too. The last one, I got it started in there. Then I used my long needle nose to compress the spring a little bit where I could get in there. And I was able to just get it started on the lip. And then I was able to just tap on it and take a screwdriver on the edge and just kind of tink, 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 and it popped in place. It wasn't pleasant, but that's what works. Didn't wreck anything. And my marks are still lined up. Yeah, you want to be careful here, because if this whole basket moves a full tooth, then you see how it's got these sliders in here. That's because it's got that lockup ramp in the back, because that all has to be still lined up right. So these marks here are still lining up, and I did it so it was lined up with the cases, and you can see it's still okay. If that was a tooth, full tooth, it'd probably be way down here or way up here, okay? So next we're going to snug this down. I'll go ahead and do that right now. Actually, let me put the camera back on the tripod, because the rest can be stationary, okay? Here we go. Hey guys, I'm going to edit into the video. I'm home now, but I wanted to tell you this before I'm going to start working on the video. By the way, I have a vodka tonic. It's very refreshing. I have an idea on the 3 bolts that tightens down on the triangular plate. You could also go to a bolt supply shop that has metric bolts. And of course I thought of that. This is how I always do it. I think about something later. But you could go ahead and get some bolts that would be 3 bolts 5 millimeter longer than the original bolts, and some small flat washers, and maybe 10 millimeters longer. And that way, you know where I'm going. You could put the long springs in there. You could start those bolts much easier without a big, you know, whoop-de-doo. And then you could pull it down as far as you could, and then take one out, put one stock one in, run it in 4 or 5 threads, right? You know where I'm going. Take the next one out, do the same thing, next thing. And then you're not wrestling those long springs. So it's just an idea I had to think it would work slick. So try that. Okay, back to the video. Alright guys, I've already run these in most of the way because they're really long. You want to be very careful to put them down evenly. So I went like, you can eyeball from the back and look at the plate, right? And once you got it kind of even, then you can go like a turn and a half, 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 turn and a half. Just keep rotating and your bolts so it doesn't get all kitty-wampus on you. So now I'm getting pretty close. So I'm just going to go like 1 turn. Okay, and I'm going to keep an eye on the inside. You can actually see through the spring right now. And you don't want to force anything. You want to make sure that this, they call it a stopper plate, is not bound up in any way, and it's going to bottom and hit on the little tower sticking out from the inner basket where the bolts are threading into, okay? And we're getting close. And you see my mark is still lined up nice, and I have this parallel where it was, okay? Real time, when you never did it before, is actually good because I can show you what might happen. You know, I could redo all this. See, right now they're already snugging up, so we're good. So, first thing I want to do is just lightly snug them. Very lightly snug them. And I'm going to go on the other side of the bike and just, I want to feel the clutch. Yeah, feels fine. Nothing's hanging up. The clutch lever's going all the way in and out. I can tell it's stiffer for sure. Okay, should be okay to pull in and out. That's good. So now, these are torqued to 89 inch-pounds. So I got my inch-pound wrench, and I'm going to start at oh, about 60. See, I already did 60. So we'll go right up to, let's go to 85, see how it feels. I'm always leery about these. It's 85. See, they're bottom. They're not, once it's bottom, they're not going to take any more torque. Okay? Let's see. 89 is what they want. I mean, you know, why not just make it 90? Okay, here's 89. See, they're not really moving anymore. It's just making sure it's tight. It's a machine surface, so you don't put anything on these bolts, okay? No Loctite, nothing. Okay? So let me get the camera shut off for a second, and I'm going to show you how we're going to prep the gasket, because this thing has no dowel pins. So I got kind of an idea of what we're going to do to hold the gasket in place. We're putting it on dry. It's got a graphite coating on each side. That's why part came off on the cover, part came off on the engine. Yeah, real fun, huh? So let me shut the camera off. Be right back. All right, guys, so what I did was you can see what I did. I slid the gasket on here, put all the bolts in. There's no dowel pins, because you don't want to get it up there and have it hanging out or offset one side or the other when you go to put your cover on. So what I did is I put all the bolts in, maybe turned them about 3 threads so you could pull the gasket away. And then, like every other one, first I was going to use some super glue, but this stuff sucks. It works okay, but it takes too long. It isn't this rapid glue. I had Loctite brand, and boy, you would kick it on there for 10 seconds. So I went ahead and used the gray. The end was clogged, so I had to poke a hole in it. So I took a barbecue skewer. This is what I use a lot of times for little things. Just on the tip, where am I? There I am. Just a tiny little bit on the tip there. See that? Bit of focus. Okay. And I went like every other one. I did the top ones here. That way it allows you to shift it around on the bolt and get them just right, and then you can kind of hold it together. Sorry about that. Hold it together. You know, let it set up a little bit, and then you can wipe it off, and you can go inside and wipe it off. Okay? Because you don't want this thing falling off or being in the wrong spot. Here where the cases meet, I put it thicker. It is squeezed out just a little bit right there. It's fine in the inside. This type of gasket material won't fall off in the motor. It's made to put on engine cases. So anyway, I'm about down to here, and I don't need to show you me doing all that the whole way. Up here, I'm going to go ahead and put a whole film behind the gasket where the rubber is right here for the wires coming through to the igniter pulsar pickup. So yeah, then we'll go ahead and carefully set the cover on there, and we'll get the bolts started, and I can do that with the camera set up. But that's how I suggest doing it. That way you don't have a helper. There's no dowel pins on this stupid thing. Would sure be helpful, huh? So this is how I'm doing it. It should work perfect. Okay guys, I got the gasket stuck on here. Probably should wait longer, but I want to get this video going. Try to get it done. Oh look, I got some of my pipe up here. Oh wonderful. I'll get that off. Anyway, I would suggest leaving all the bolts up there. Let it sit for about an hour. I've only let it sit by 20 minutes, but it's stuck. If I'm careful, it should be fine. All the holes are lined up. The gasket's perfectly aligned. I got my squeaky clean cover ready from yesterday when we were working on it. So I'm going to use the little handheld Allen bit and very carefully try not to move the gasket. So I'm going to put one bolt on at a time. Again, you don't need anything on the bolt, okay? You really don't. So I'm thinking here we'll go with this top bolt right here first. You just can't let it flop around. You know, you gotta, I think we should just start it. Okay. Maybe screw in about 3 threads. And then what we're gonna do is we're gonna come right over to about this one here. I think you can see me. I don't want to really look at the camera and screw up. See what I'm doing? Yeah. And then we're going to put one right here. Why not? Or we could even put all these little top ones. Remember, these are all the same length, so you don't have to worry about that. So let's just barely get them started. Okay, now, yeah, we'll work our way around. These don't matter. The bottom ones is what matter because there's those 2 brackets, okay, for the little air dam or whatever you want to call it, the panel down on the bottom here. We just don't want this gasket. We just don't want this gasket to shift on us. Okay, it's being so nice to us right now still. Okay, this one I'll put in last or pretty soon because we got to put some of the gray sealer on that bolt. Remember, that's the one that goes into the bottom of the case, the cylinder. Okay, these lower 2 is where this bottom bracket mount goes, like that. Obviously, the well nut doesn't go that way; it goes this way. So we bolt this one to these 2 right there. So let's do that. Again, I don't want to disturb the gasket, so we're just going to get them started carefully. They're hanging on the top bolt, so it should be pretty stable. You always want to keep an eye on the gasket though, make sure, but it should be okay. Okay, this is the last one here. Okay, and then the other small bracket, this bracket here, that also mounts the little side case, side cover, goes on these 2 last ones on the bottom. Okay, use my hand now. Use it right in front of me. You just want to get these through the gasket, okay? Okay, last one's right here. All right, now what you want to do is you want to apply a little bit of that same gray case sealer that I used to dabble on the gasket on these, about the last 3/8 of an inch of these threads, and that's the bolt that goes right up in here. Okay, remember I showed you that earlier. So go ahead and get this one in. Visually take a flashlight, make sure the gasket's all in good shape and the right spot still and all that, and then just very lightly go ahead and push the cover down and very lightly just snug the bolts. Don't tighten them yet. We'll come back to that in a minute. Let me get that far, I'll be back. Sorry guys, I made a boo-boo. So the case right here on the bottom of the engine, on the case from the bottom of the cylinder, right here, not this one, under the pipe. Under the pipe takes a regular bolt. The black-headed bolt goes right here on the bump in the bottom of the cylinder. That's the one with the gray sealer, not this one, okay? Sorry about that. Okay, I decided to show you this, so push, once you can hold the cover out, look with the flashlight. I have something like this one here, okay? Hold the cover out, go all the way around, make sure that gasket's in the right spot. It pretty much has to be with all the bolts in it and how we had it set up. Then you can push the cover against the motor, hold it there, don't let it jump in and out, And then you want to go ahead and run these bolts in. And I would kind of go a couple here, kind of crisscross, maybe then do this one here. Okay, then hit one of the bottom ones. You get my drift. Okay, kind of like you're doing a cylinder head. Okay, you don't want to just tighten it all down. And you're barely snugging them for now. All right, because I believe these are supposed to be 109 inch-pounds, but I'm gonna double check. Okay. Hey, this is all about raw footage, right? Hey, this is reality. It isn't like I took this all apart, test ran it, made sure I'm perfect, and I'm addressing the problems as I see it and how I would normally figure stuff out. And done this quite a while, so I think my method is pretty sound. One other thing to do, which I forgot to tell you, speaking of that, because I'm human, is when you get that clutch hat all bolted down, okay, and you got the little center bolts tightened like we did on the triangle plate, go over to your clutch lever just for the hell of it, pull the clutch in and out, and look and feel it, make sure it feels normal. You're going to have more pressure. I'm missing a bolt. You're going to have more pressure, but you may have a buddy come over and just watch it, and you'll see that clutch hat just go in and out slightly, but then you're in good shape. Okay, let me go check the torque. Be right back. Okay, I just lightly snugged all the bolts evenly all the way around. It's 106 inch-pounds. In the old days, I would just tighten these all by feel because I have a good feel for that. But if I'm doing a video like this, I might just tell you the exact torque. It's 106 inch-pounds. So what I would do is go like 65 on them all. I'm going to use a long extension with the 5mm Allen bit like this on all of them, except the one under this tube, because, you know, the head of this won't clear. So I have a long one for that. I have a little Nico set. They're in a blue case. Buy a lot of stuff on Amazon. They're really good. So what we're going to do is, I got it set at 65 inch-pounds already. Still going to kind of go candy quarter top to bottom, and then we'll make a lap all the way around. To me, 85 inch-pounds or so is plenty, but I got to tell you, when I took these bolts off, they were tight. They snapped loose. You know, once I get them kind of all set at 65, we'll make one final lap. My little Nico bit's a little tighter, so it's, I deburred it a little bit a minute ago, but it's a little hassle to take it in and out on all of them. So what we'll do now is I'll stick that one in here, and it does fit under the pipe. The pipe moves. Okay, we'll get that one to 65. Now we'll go ahead and just put this one back on, and we'll just make a lap. We don't need to zigzag anymore, just to make sure you didn't miss one. That's all. We'll go all the way around. Okay. There's 15 total bolts. Hope I'm talking loud enough. My mouth is pointed the opposite direction. I don't know. Where's Dr. Purple at anyway? I was expecting him to drop in. I don't know about that guy. He's a little weird sometimes. See, this one, regular one won't fit. Okay. So now we're going to go ahead and do the same thing. I think I'll go to about 95. Yeah, there's 95. Let's just start with this one. See, they're snug enough now. It's not going to distort the case. And it's not taking much more. You've already compressed the gasket, okay? So now you don't have to zigzag it. We can just make a lap, okay? 95. These are very long bolts, so I can see the aluminum being fine. Kawasaki knows what they're doing. I hate it on some of the other Suzukis and stuff. You don't have enough thread engagement. You'll strip it, even though it says, you know, 88, 90 inch-pounds. On those, sometimes I only go 65, and it's plenty. They never fall out, and you're not going to strip your engine case. It's ridiculous. But these seem just dandy. Okay, so now we're going to go the whole enchilada. Let me get this set, half blind. Here's 100, 104. Here's 106. So might as well do this one first. See, it doesn't take much more torque. It's not even turning the bolt. Just barely, okay? Well, we're doing them to factory spec. See my clean clutch cover? Look, clutch cover, all spanky. All my handprints were on it. I went it over with my speed wax. A brand new polishing cloth, so it looks good. Yeah, this bit isn't too bad. I'm going to do this one again. I'm going to change the bit. Okay, we'll make one more lap. Then I'll hit this one last with the longer bit. There's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, and here's the big number 15. Okay, we went over them twice. All right, let me adjust the camera and we'll talk and we'll end this video, okay? Okay guys, one final thing after the cover's bolted up. Remember where I grabbed these wires to hang them out of the way? Let's get rid of the nylon tie. I already put a little teeny dot because this little T's already used. It's still in good shape. It pushes into threads anyway, it's probably fine, but I put a little dab of black silicone on it. So we're just gonna push that sucker back in. Okay. Right on. It's got a good grip. That part's done. Okay guys, well that was an adventure, huh? Notice I have the blue tape on here because I don't have oil in it. Remember to do that. I'm probably going to button this thing up tomorrow, put oil in it and all that good stuff, and then I can start assembling the bike. But I think that was a real neat video to do for you and very educational. And it's not just a matter of slamming some springs in there. It's a matter of doing it properly and different things you run across when you're doing something, right? So I hope you learned something. I hope you enjoyed it. I think I'm going to end this video now. And then I'll get the bike assembled pretty soon. And eventually get it back on the dyno, break in the chain, see if I get enough adjustment on the chain so I can make a pull. And we'll see how it goes. I'm going to have to clear some codes and stuff like that first. But yeah, so if you have any residual here, wipe it all down real good, clean it up real nice. Go ahead and put your oil in. You know how to do that already. And double check your oil level when you get all done. Fire the thing up, let it run a little while, shut it off, double check for leaks, you know, the standard stuff. Don't just go flying down this road. Okay, you don't want any leaks, but you really shouldn't have it. Hopefully I don't eat my own words. Anyway, thanks for watching. Please subscribe. It makes a big difference. I have just this little channel. Trying my best, you know. Hit the thumbs up. Give me a thumbs up, and hit the bell, and please make a comment. Just hi Dale, whatever. It all matters for the whatever the YouTube points. So anyway, I'll catch you later. Love you guys. Still fighting the battle. Just had 2 shots in a row. Yesterday was hell. Today's a little better. I'll see you on the next video. Thanks for watching.